I worked hard last night. I hardly worked last night. Do you like your job? Do you like your work? There are many confusing words in English that students often use incorrectly. Let's fix that. Today you'll learn how to use these 130 confusing but very common English words. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, let's review hard and hardly. And let's review these as a quiz. She studied really for the exam and passed with top marks. Do you need hard or hardly? You need hard.
I've been studying really hard.
Because hard means with effort or intensity, whereas hardly means almost not. It's similar to barely. Now, you cannot say he works hardly every day. You have to say he works hard every day if you want to intensify that. So you can say, I worked hard this weekend. This means I worked a lot. If you say, I hardly worked this weekend, and notice that sentence structure placement, I hardly worked, this means I worked very little. So you can say, I hardly or barely slept last night. You can't say, I slept hard last night. Sometimes there just isn't a replacement that means the same. You have to use a different word to intensify it. So you would say, I slept well, or I slept great last night, or there's an idiom you may know, I slept like a rock, or I slept like a baby last night. Don't worry about taking notes. I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now that you understand the difference, here is one sentence that uses both. He gets any recognition from his boss, even though he works so. Which one do you need? He hardly gets any recognition. You can identify it because of the sentence structure, but also because it's reducing the amount of recognition. It means a little, not a lot. Even though he works so hard. Placement of the word, and also it intensifies it. Now let's review late and lately. Here's your quiz. Jennifer, I've been watching a lot of your videos. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad. But what do you need? Late or lately? Jennifer, lately I've been watching a lot of your videos. So if that describes you, put that's right, put that's right in the comments.
I've been thinking lately.
Now, late means after the scheduled or usual time. And lately means in recent days or weeks. We arrived late after the scheduled time because we stayed up late last night. This means you stayed up, remained awake later than you usually do, past your normal time. How about this one? You should leave early so you're not late for the interview. So the opposite of late is early, which I always try to be. Now, lately, you've been showing up late. Uh-oh. Lately is flexible, so you could say, you've been showing up late lately. Yes, you can have late, lately, side by side. And then you might add on, is everything okay? Because lately is the present perfect or present perfect continuous. So the action started in the past and continues until now. So it sounds like it's more of a routine. He's been working a lot lately, not just now, started in the past and continues. Or again, you can start with lately and say lately she hasn't been herself. The verb to be cannot go in a continuous form. Here's your quiz question. I'm sorry the kids are, again, our car has been acting up. Well, you can tell because of the meaning, but also because of that sentence structure. I immediately noticed the present perfect continuous and the fact it's the very last word. So I know the last one, our car has been acting up lately. That's why the kids are late again.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
Now let's review really and actually. I hear mistakes with these a lot. How about this quiz question? I thought he was just late, but he got into an accident. But actually,
Actually, he was laughing.
This is an important distinction. Really is an intensifier. It means very, truly, or genuinely. But we're not intensifying anything here. It sounds like we're correcting something, and that's when you need actually. It means in fact, or it's to introduce something surprising, correcting, or clarifying. I thought he was late, but actually he got into an accident. So I'm clarifying my false assumption. Now, sometimes a student will say to me, Jennifer, actually, I like your videos. But this sounds like you thought I didn't like your videos, but I do. You want to use really if there's nothing to correct or clarify. So you want to say, I really like your videos to intensify it. Now let's review this. You can say, I really liked the movie. You intensify your feeling of satisfaction. And then you can ask, did you like it? And then you might need to clarify or correct and say, actually, I've never seen it before, because the person assumes you've seen it. You can change that placement and say, I've actually never seen it before. You can even add it at the end. It sounds more like an afterthought. I've never seen it before, actually. So here's your quiz question. I'm sorry, I thought your name was Jane. What do you think? The first one? I'm really sorry, you're intensifying it. I actually thought your name was Jane. You're clarifying or correcting information. Now let's review a pair that even native speakers confuse, especially and specially. Here's the quiz question. She's allergic to peanuts, so we need to create a dish for her. Which one? Especially for her.
He'd had my ring made especially for me.
Especially means particularly, more than others. Specially means for a specific purpose or intention. I love all types of pie, especially apple pie. So I'm using this to emphasize apple pie more than others. I made this apple pie specially for you. It's sugar-free. This is to emphasize a specific purpose or intention. So you can say English grammar is difficult, especially irregular verbs, to emphasize that category. Or I could say I created a lesson specially for my advanced students. Now I could add on all my students will benefit from this lesson, especially my beginner students. So I'm highlighting that group. Let's try another quiz question. He was trained for dangerous missions, those involving explosives. He was specially trained for a specific purpose. Dangerous missions, and then we want to highlight specific ones, especially those involving explosives. Now let's talk about eventually and ultimately. Here's the quiz question. The plan was risky, expensive, and time-consuming, but it was successful. But it was ultimately successful.
Impressive. But ultimately useless.
Now, to be fair, you could grammatically and logically say eventually. This means after a long time, finally. But ultimately means in the end, after considering everything. So if you had to only choose one for the quiz, ultimately is the better fit. But just remember that both make sense. Here's an easy way to remember the difference if you have to choose only one. Eventually focuses on the time. Ultimately focuses on the result. But you can equally say he eventually became a teacher, he ultimately became a teacher. They'll eventually get married, they'll ultimately get married. There's a very subtle difference. So let's try another quiz and think about which one focuses on time and which one focuses on result. After years of consideration, he moved to Europe and retired. Well, that years of consideration, that to me sounds like time. So I would personally choose eventually for the first one. After years of consideration, he eventually moved and ultimately retired because that focuses on the end result. Another pair with a very subtle difference, just and only. I arrived. I just arrived.
She just arrived.
Just is a short time ago. It can also mean exactly or simply depending on context. Only is no more than. It's restricted to one or whatever that quantity is. So if you say, I only said that, this means I said one thing, that, and nothing more. If you say, I just said that, I said that a short time ago. I only met her. I met one person, her. I just met her. I met her a short time ago. So how about this quiz? I got here and I brought the dessert. I just got here recently, a few minutes ago. I only brought the dessert. So that one item, the dessert, nothing more. Here's a pair many of my students confuse, to and so. That movie was funny. What do you think? That movie was so funny.
You're so funny.
To means to a higher degree than necessary or desirable. So is an intensifier, very, extremely, to such a degree. Sometimes my students say, Jennifer, your lessons are too good. But this means I wish they were less good because too is more than wanted, needed, or desired. So it sounds negative. So you want to say, Jennifer, your lessons are so good, which means I think they're very good. And hopefully you do. So of course you can say, the coffee is too hot to drink. This means more than I want. Or you can say, I'm so tired after that workout. So of course, I'm very tired. Now notice for sentence structure, we have too and then whatever your adjective is, too hot, but then you can use an infinitive, to drink, or I'm too tired to play golf. Now, with so, you would use an adjective, but you can't use an infinitive after. You can use a clause, which is a full sentence. I'm so tired, I can't play golf today. Here's another quiz for you. Your lessons are good, but they're long. Well, we start with a positive, so good, but then a negative, too long, because it's more than wanted or needed or desired, so it's a negative. Now let's review still and yet. The question, is he sleeping? Is he still sleeping?
And he's still sleeping.
Still means continuing to happen. So is the sleep continuing to happen? Yet means until now, and it's also expected to happen. An important note, still can be used in positive, negative, or question form, but yet can only be used in negative or questions. Yet cannot be used in the positive. So you can say, I'm still working on it. I still haven't worked on it. This means the action, not working on it, continues. Now, if you say, I haven't worked on it yet, this means the action hasn't happened until now, but it's expected to happen. Now, you can ask, have you worked on it yet? Or you can ask, are you still working on it? But you cannot use yet in the positive. You cannot say, I'm working on it yet. You can't say that. So here's your quiz. She's in bed and hasn't eaten. What do you think? Well, the action of being in bed continues. She's still in bed. And then a negative, she hasn't eaten yet, but it's expected to happen. Now, similarly, let's review ever and never. Have you gone skydiving? Have you ever gone skydiving?
Have you ever had children?
Ever means at any time. Never, not at any time. But ever is used with questions. Never is used in the negative. And both ever and never use the present perfect. Have you ever gone skydiving? To answer, you would say, yes, I have. Yes, I have gone skydiving. No, I've never gone skydiving. Or you can say, no, never. Or you can say, no, I haven't gone skydiving yet, which means it's expected. You think you'll do this action in the future. So let's review the quiz question. If you want to try sushi like you've had it before, I know a great place. If you ever. The clue there is if you, that's a question. So you need ever directly with questions. Like you've never had it before. That's actually a negative statement. Now let's review sometime and sometimes with that S. Let's get lunch next week. What do you think? Without the S or with the S? Let's get lunch sometime next week.
She should come over sometime after school.
Without the S, it means at an unspecified time. Maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, any of those times because it's unspecified. Sometimes with the S means occasionally. It's an adverb of frequency. So if someone asks you, do you still play golf? So they want to know if the action of playing golf continues. Do you still play golf? You can reply and say sometimes, which means occasionally. Now, as an adverb of frequency, you would have subject, adverb, verb. I sometimes play golf. Now, they may ask you, oh, would you like to play golf sometime? This means at an unspecified time in the future. Maybe next week, next month, 2 months from now. So, unspecified. Now, if they say to you, would you like to play golf sometimes? They're asking you about your routine. So this question means, would you like to play golf occasionally as part of your routine? Now let's review your quiz. We meet after work, so we should plan a get-together next week. Well, based on sentence structure, you know what's needed. Sometimes we meet after work. This happens occasionally. Occasionally, we meet after work. We should plan a get-together, which is a meeting between people, sometime next week, an unspecified time next week. Now let's review definitely and probably. I'm going to the meeting. It's mandatory. I'm definitely going to the meeting.
We definitely will.
Definitely means without a doubt, 100% certain. Probably means most likely. You can think of it as 70% or 90% certain, but it's not guaranteed. So if a friend asks you, can you drive me to the airport tomorrow? You can reply back and say definitely 100% or probably 70 to 90%. I can definitely drive you to the airport tomorrow. Or you can even use this in the negative. I probably can't drive you to the airport tomorrow. So the negative action is 70 to 90% certain. Here's the quiz. I'll be at the meeting, but I'll leave early. We'll probably leave early because you can't leave early to the meeting if there's only a 70 to 90% chance of you going. So you're definitely going to the meeting. Now let's review back and again. When will you be from your trip? You want back.
I'll be back.
Because this means return to a place. Again, of course, means to repeat an action. You can say, I'm back. Or you can say, let's do it again. Let's try that again. Now, back is commonly used with come back or get back, which means to return. When do you come back or get back from vacation? And then you can reply back and clarify and say, actually, I'm back. I got back last week. How about this quiz? I'd love to go back again. So to go back, I'd love to return one more time again. I'd love to go back again. Amazing job. Now, did you notice that all of those words were adverbs? Let's keep going and you'll learn 21 confusing English nouns.
First, let's review job and work. And let's review these as a quiz. Here's the question. She applied for a new at the law firm. A new job. Did you get that?
I applied for a new job.
Because job is a specific position or employment where a person earns money, of course. Work, though, is about the general effort, tasks, or labor. So not the actual position, the tasks. For example, you can say, do you like your job? This is asking about the specific position. Now, you can also say, do you like your work? And this is more focused on the tasks you do, but ultimately they're the same and a native speaker would use them interchangeably. However, you cannot say, she got a new work. She got a new work. You can't say that. You must say, she got a new job. Now this is because work is a collective noun. So in the example sentence, it used a. You can't use a with work because work is a collective noun. So remember, you would say, I have so much work. Work would stay as the singular because it's a collective. I have so much work to do. Now remember, work is also a verb, to work. So you could say right now, I'm working, the verb in the present continuous. I'm working two jobs, two positions to make ends meet, which means to make enough money to survive.
I have to work.
So now I'll quiz you again. He's looking for new, but finding a good takes time. What do you think? He's looking for new work because remember, work is a collective noun and collective nouns don't take articles. So he's looking for a good job. Now let's talk about story and history. I hear mistakes with these two all the time. Here's your quiz. The book is based on real, not fiction. On real history.
This is history in the making.
So a story is a narrative. It can be real or it can be fictional, not real, and is told for entertainment or information. Now, history, this is a factual record of past events. So you could say the story about the company dates back to 1920. Dates back to means starts in 1920. Now you could also say the history. You would need the preposition of. The history of this company dates back to 1920. So with the story of the company, you're going to hear a story, characters, themes, but the history is going to be the factual record. You can say he told an amazing story about his trip to Africa. And notice here, you tell a story. That's the collocation. You can also say we learned about the history of the English language today. There are many different verbs that go with history. For example, you learn, read, discover, discuss, debate, and many other choices. How about this quiz question? He told a funny, but it had nothing to do with actual. This one's easy, right? He told a funny story. It had nothing to do with actual history, the record of past events. Number 3, wedding and marriage. Do these confuse you? How about this quiz question? Were you invited to their wedding? Because wedding is the event.
We are invited to Suki's wedding.
It's a ceremony where two people get married. So it's an event. It takes place on a specific date and time, location. Marriage is the relationship between two people after they're married. So you can ask, when is your wedding? Or when was your wedding, because it's in the past. But you can't say when is or was your marriage because it's not an event. So there's no specific date of it. If you want to ask a question like that, you actually have to change the structure and say, how long have you been married? So to be married, this means you're legally husband and wife. Now you can say their wedding didn't last long, so the actual ceremony where they exchange rings was only 30 minutes, 1 hour. Their wedding, the event, didn't last long. You can also say their marriage didn't last long, but that means their relationship didn't last long, so they are no longer together. How about this quiz question? There was beautiful, but there has been full of challenges. Their wedding, the event, was beautiful, but their marriage, their relationship after the wedding has been full of challenges.
Bad memories, bad marriage.
Let's talk about these two confusing nouns. I'm not going to say them because the main confusion is the pronunciation. The Sahara is the largest in the world. So which one? One S or two S's? One S is desert. Dry, arid land with little rainfall, which describes our quiz. The other one with two S's is dessert, a sweet dish eaten after a meal. Of course, you know that. So let's focus on that pronunciation. So one S, dry, arid land, desert, desert. So notice the syllable stress is on the first sound, da-da. Desert. And then two S's, sweets, chocolate, dessert, dessert, dessert. The syllable stress is on the second syllable, da-da, dessert. So make sure you practice that pronunciation. So let's practice this together now. After crossing the desert, we enjoyed a delicious dessert. Make sure you shadow my pronunciation.
Let us enjoy the wonderful dessert.
Number 5, let's talk about price and cost. Here's your quiz question. The of studying abroad is high when you factor in tuition, housing, food, and transportation. Here, because of the context, we need cost.
The cost of everything is too high.
Because price is the amount of money needed to buy something. So there's a tag or a sticker, and it has the price. Cost, on the other hand, is total. So think of total expenses, including hidden or indirect factors. Now, in a store, you would absolutely say, how much does this cost? But keep in mind that the word cost here is a verb, and this lesson is about nouns.
That's going to cost a lot of money.
You would not say, how much does this price? Because price is a noun and not a verb. You can absolutely say, what is, and then the noun. What is the price of the laptop? Now, you could also ask, what is the total cost of the laptop? And many speakers will add the word total in front of cost. So that means the price of the laptop, tax, warranty, accessories, anything else that's included. That's the cost. Now, remember, as a verb, you can absolutely say the laptop costs $1,200. But remember, cost there is a verb. Let's review these together as a quiz. The of the car was low, but the long term of insurance and maintenance is high. The price of the car is low, but then the total cost, insurance, maintenance, so the second one is cost. Number 6, chance and opportunity. This job offer is a great for your career. What do you need? A great opportunity.
It's a great opportunity.
Chance is a possibility or probability of something happening. It sounds quite neutral, but opportunity, this is a favorable situation for achieving something. So the word opportunity sounds positive. There is a 30% chance of rain tomorrow. You wouldn't say opportunity. You would use chance because you're talking about probability. Now, you could also say there's a chance, a probability I could get the job, not the work, the job. Now, you can modify chance. You can say slight, small, or low, good, fair, or moderate chance, or high, strong, or excellent chance. There's an excellent chance I'll get the job. Now you can say, I hope I get the job because it's a great opportunity. So to modify opportunity, we generally use positive words such as great, amazing, excellent, perfect, or golden, a golden opportunity. How about this quiz? This scholarship is a real, and you have no of winning the lottery. You have no chance of winning the lottery. So go for the scholarship because it's a great opportunity.
Small chance, but a chance.
Number 7, loan and debt. How about this? We took out a to buy the car. We took out a loan.
Got it covered. I took a loan.
So a loan, this is money borrowed that must be repaid. You can get this from a bank, a friend, or a family member, or a private company. Now debt, this is the total amount of money owed. You take out a loan, that's the most common collocation. You take out a loan. You can also use get, you get a loan. But with debt, you simply have. You possess it. You have debt. Now, why do you have debt? Because you took out loans. So they go together. You can say, I have so much debt. Debt is a collective noun. So notice, no S and so much. Or you can say, I have so many loans I need to repay this year. Loan is a regular noun, so it's singular, plural. How about this quiz question? The helped him buy the car, but now he has to manage the loan. It's something, the money you borrow, the loan. But he has to manage his debt, the total amount of money he owes. And notice that pronunciation. Did you notice the B was silent? Debt, debt, debt.
I'm deep in debt.
Now let's talk about these two. Again, I will not say them because the confusion is in their pronunciation and similar spellings. So here's the quiz question. Can you pick up my from the dry cleaners? Can you pick up my suit? Suit.
I'll go get my suit on.
This is a set of matching clothes. It can also mean a legal case, but most commonly it means a set of matching clothes. But the other word is pronounced suite. Suite. This is a set of connected rooms, often in a hotel, but can also be in an apartment complex or condo complex. It can also be a collection of software. So you'll probably hear that word with software as well. So now let's focus on the pronunciation with these examples. He wore a navy blue suit. So repeat after me. Oot, oo, oot. Suit, suit. He wore a navy blue suit to the interview. Our hotel suite. It's the exact same as chocolate is sweet. The hotel suite had a beautiful ocean view. How about this quiz? Why are you wearing your in our? What do you need for pronunciation? Why are you wearing your suit in our suite? Your suit in our suite. That's one for you to practice. And of course, take it off and relax for a bit. Wear on vacation. Our next confusing pair, again, the confusion could be because of the spelling and pronunciation. So I won't say them. Here's the quiz. Please keep your for reimbursement. Please keep your receipt. Receipt. There is no P in the word. Receipt.
No receipts.
This is a document that proves payment. So you get it when you buy something. Now, reimbursement means you give this receipt to your employer for the laptop and they give you the money back. That's reimbursement. Now, recipe, repeat after me, recipe, recipe. receipt, recipe. So notice receipt, you have the word seat in it. Receipt, recipe. Recipe, of course, is instructions for preparing food. You can absolutely say, I lost the receipt, but make sure your pronunciation matches what you say, because you can equally say, I lost my recipe, but the meaning is very different. You can also say, I need a receipt, or I need a recipe. So grammatically, often both sentences are correct, but the meaning is very different. Let's try this quiz. I kept the for the ingredients and I followed the. Did this confuse you? You keep a receipt. The receipt for the ingredients, it shows you what ingredients you bought. Maybe because it's for reimbursement. And you follow a recipe. You follow instructions, and a recipe provides instructions. Did you get that one?
Did you follow the recipe?
Number 10, again, confusing spelling, confusing pronunciation, totally different meanings. I won't say them yet. What can we do to improve workplace? Workplace morale. Morale, morale.
Squashing the gossip and lifting the morale in the house.
Now compare that to moral, moral. The sound is less stressed. I don't open my mouth as wide. Moral, moral. Now a moral is a lesson about right or wrong. It's also standards of right or wrong. So you can think of it as ethical lessons or ethical codes. It tells you how to behave. Morale, repeat after me, morale. So notice that long owl, morale, morale. This is the level of confidence or enthusiasm in a group. It's very common in business. You can think of it as the team spirit or the team mood. So the moral of the story, the lesson, the ethical lesson, the moral of the story, which is very common, the moral of the story is to always tell the truth. Or parents should teach their children strong morals. As a noun, you can have singular or plural, morals. How about this one? Employee morale. Remember, this is commonly used in a business context. It can also be used in a sports context, anything where teams are involved. Employee morale improved, so the spirit, the mood, the confidence of the group, of the team. Employee morale improved after the company gave bonuses. Or you could say, after the CEO quit, the company's morale dropped to an all-time low. So the mood, the spirit, the confidence of the team was low. How about this quiz? The leader's speech boosted the team's and taught an important lesson about? Well, the teams, that tells you it would be morale, and taught a lesson, moral. So also look for those keywords that tell you which one you need.
It's called the moral of the story.
Number 11, again, pronunciation and perhaps spelling. So here's the quiz. The of the apartment complex are very friendly. The residents. This is people who live in a place. But when you have an S on that noun, meaning more than one, it sounds exactly the same as residence, which is a place where someone lives. So the pronunciation is virtually identical when resident is in the plural form and it sounds like residence. So this might be confusing in spoken English. You can say his official residence, place where he lives, his official residence is in New York. You could also say residents of New York, people who live in New York, residents of New York must pay a new tax. Now you can use this in the singular and there's less confusion with the pronunciation. She's a resident in the new senior residence, the place where seniors live. Or in the plural, where it sounds similar, identical, their residence in the new senior residence. How about this quiz? The new has space for 50. The new residence, place where people live, has space for 50 people, so 50 residents.
Maisel residence.
Our final confusing pair, weather and climate. What's the like today? The key word is today. So today we need weather because weather is for short-term conditions in a specific place at a specific time. Climate is, of course, the longer-term conditions in a specific place, and it's over a significant period of time, 30 years. So you can, of course, ask, what's the weather like in Singapore? If you ask that, you're basically saying today or right now. If you ask, what's the climate like in Singapore, you're going to get a different answer because that means in general, not necessarily right now, in general. So both are grammatically correct, but the answer you receive will be different. Now you could say we had to cancel the event because of the weather. The event takes place on a specific day, so it's not climate, it's weather. But you could make a general statement and say we have less outdoor events because of climate change. Because of climate change. So that's talking about overall and not necessarily now. How about this quiz? The in the mountains changes quickly, but the is generally cold throughout the year. Well, throughout the year tells me that you're talking about climate, and changing quickly, well, that tells me you're talking about current conditions, so weather.
Hey, John Boy, how's the weather?
Great job with those nouns. Let's keep going and you'll learn 21 confusing English verbs.
First, let's talk about hear and listen. And let's review all of these as a quiz. Here's the question. I couldn't, the speaker, because of the loud noise. Do you need hear or listen? I couldn't hear the speaker because of the loud noise.
Can you hear me?
Hear is your ability to perceive sound naturally. So it's one of your senses. This is a passive activity. It doesn't require conscious effort. You could say, did you hear that car alarm at 2 a.m.? I didn't want to, but because I have ears, I heard it. At the beginning of a presentation or a phone call, you can say, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? How's your ability to perceive me? Now, you could also say, did you hear? Did you hear that Jennifer is hosting a live lesson next week? Notice here, it's to hear information. Did you hear Jennifer is hosting? That's the information. Now, in this case, it's one's awareness or knowledge of news, information, or rumors, and this is usually learned passively. Let's discuss listen. This is when you actively pay attention to sound. So it requires your effort and intention. So if I ask you, are you listening to me? Yes, you can hear my words, but are you concentrating on them? Are you listening to me? So this is very different from can you hear me? Or you could say, I always listen to classical music while I work. So it's your choice. You're actively listening.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Now, as a challenge, I want you to create one sentence using these confusing words. And you can do this for each set that we review. So, can you think of one sentence that contains both hear and listen. Here's mine. Share yours in the comments. I can hear music in the background, but I'm not listening to it. So my ears can perceive the sound, but I'm not actively paying attention to it. I'm not listening to it. Now let's review say and tell as a quiz. Can you, me, what happened at the meeting? Which one do you need? Can you tell me? Tell me what happened at the meeting. Tell requires a person as the object. So the fact that the quiz question had me, that is all you need to know to choose tell. Tell me what happened. You should tell your boss, someone else, you should tell your boss that you need a day off.
You should tell her.
Say does not require a person as the object. What did you say? If you use an object, you need the preposition to. What did you say to her, to your boss? Or you could say, she said we should work late. Now here, we is not the object. We is the subject of the clause. We should work late. This is what she said. She said we should work late. So you cannot say, she said me to go home. She said, I should go home, or she told me to go home.
Well, boss told me to go home.
Also remember, say emphasizes what is being expressed. Tell emphasizes the person receiving the information. And also, you tell the truth and you tell lies. So with these two words specifically, truth and lies, you use tell. That's the correct choice. Now it's time for your challenge. Write one sentence that uses both say and tell. Was that easy or difficult for you? Here's mine. She said that she always tells the truth. So she always tells the truth. This is what she said. Now let's review speak and talk. Here's your question. She, 3 languages fluently. This is easy for you, right? She speaks, of course, she speaks 3 languages fluently. Did you conjugate that verb? All of these are verbs, so you need to conjugate them as well. Just like tell is the correct choice with truth and lies, speak is the correct choice with languages. You speak a language. You improve your speaking skills, right?
Speak to me.
What if I said, let's speak about this later? Let's talk about this later. Both of these are grammatically correct. Speak is more formal and is often used in presentations. For example, she spoke about the importance of adopting AI. This sounds like she gave a speech or she gave a presentation on this topic. She spoke in a formal context. So you might ask, who's speaking at the conference next week? You wouldn't say who's talking. Talk is used in casual conversations. He talked about the importance of adopting AI. The same sentence, in this case, we're using talk. So this could be at a meeting or just in casual conversation. You could ask someone, can we talk about this later?
Can we talk?
Can you write a sentence using both? Here's mine. We talked about how she speaks 5 languages. How did you do with this one? Now let's review see, look, and watch. Do these confuse you? How about this question? I always TV after dinner. I always watch TV after dinner. Always is an adverb of frequency, so the present simple. See, this is passive. Just like here, see, this is one of your senses. So it's passive. It involves perceiving things naturally. I can't see without my glasses. So it's your sense of sight.
I can't see.
Or, did you see that bird? You could say, no, but I heard it. Your ability to hear, your ability to see. Now look, this is focus effort to direct your eyes at something specific. You need to look at your audience when you're speaking, because if it's an audience, it sounds like it's more formal. That's why I used speaking. Don't just look at your notes. Look at your audience. Conscious effort.
Look at me.
Now watch. This is when you continuously look at something and something that changes or moves. For example, you need to watch the kids closely. So continuously look at them with focused effort, and the kids are moving around. Now, because of that explanation, this is why we use it with movies, TV shows. What did you watch last night? I watched TV, a movie, or one of Jennifer's YouTube videos.
Watch me.
How about this one? Do you want to see a movie or a show this weekend? This is very commonly used by natives. Keep in mind that the focus is on attending. Do you want to go to a movie? Also keep in mind this isn't used with TV. So you wouldn't say, do you want to see TV this weekend? So now that you know the difference, it's time for your challenge, and you need to write one sentence with all three. See, look, and watch. Can you think of one? This might be a little more difficult. Take your time, but here's mine. He looked at the painting, so conscious effort, then saw the artist watching him from across the room. He saw the artist, so he perceived with his eyes, he saw the artist, and what was the artist doing? The artist was watching him, so continuously looking at him. That was difficult for me to think of that sentence, so don't worry if it takes you time. Let's move on to bring and take. Here's your question. I'm in the living room. Can you me some water? Which one do you need? Can you bring me some water? Bring, this is movement toward the person. The water is moving toward me, the person who asked.
Hey man, can you bring me a sparkling water?
Take is movement away from the person. For example, in a restaurant, a server, a waiter, waitress could come to you and say, can I take those dishes for you? Now the server used take because the dishes are moving away from the person being the customer.
I will take the free food.
This is why you can't say, can you take those files here? Because here means movement toward a point. Can you bring your files here? Because the files are moving toward a point. Same thing with don't forget to bring your passport to the airport, because the movement of the passport is going toward the airport. Now share your challenge sentence in the comments. Again, this wasn't easy for me. I had time to think of these. Here's mine. Could you bring the documents to my office and then take these files back to yours? Because the documents are moving toward me, but then these documents are moving away from me. Let's review fit and suit. Here's your question. Do you think this color, me? Do you think this color suits me? Suits me. Fit is the correct size or shape. You could say, this jacket doesn't fit me. It's too tight. You need a larger jacket. Or you could say, this jacket fits perfectly. It's the correct size and shape. Or there's no way that box will fit in the trunk. The size of the trunk is too small for the size of the box.
It's not gonna fit.
Suit is about complementary style or appearance. So if something is complimentary, it means it goes well together. You could say living downtown really suits her. She loves the hustle and bustle. Do you know what that is? Hustle and bustle. It's the busyness, the chaos, the noise, but she loves it. So that's why living downtown complements her. It goes well with her personality. It suits her. You can use this negatively and say living in a small town didn't suit her. Didn't because it's in the past. She already moved to the city. You could put it in the present simple and say doesn't suit her.
Stop, it doesn't suit you.
Now, we use this with physical things, clothes, jewelry, makeup, hairstyles. For example, having a mustache really suits him. It goes well with his face or with his style. Now it's time for your challenge sentence. Here's mine. This jacket fits perfectly, but I don't think it suits me. So this means the size is correct, but the style isn't correct. Now let's review learn and teach. I hear mistakes with these all the time. Can you, me, how to use the present perfect? This should be easy, right? Can you teach me? Can you teach me? First, let's talk about learn. This means to acquire knowledge or skills, of course. The mistake I hear is my students say, I'm learning this lesson. This is incorrect. You should say, I'm studying this lesson, or I'm learning different phrases in this lesson. So you're gaining a specific skill or knowledge. The knowledge represents the phrases. I'm learning phrases in this lesson because you're not gaining skills of the lesson in general. It's the information in the lesson. That's why the sentence doesn't work.
I'm learning.
Teach, of course, is to give knowledge, give skills to someone else. She taught me a lot. Or you could say, I learned a lot. Can you teach the new intern how to file the reports? So this isn't specific to a teacher. I'm sure you teach your kids, your friends, your coworkers, things all the time. Now it's challenge time. Create one sentence using learn and teach. This should be easy for you, hopefully. Here's mine. I'll teach you the basics of chess so you can learn how to play on your own. Learn how to play. That's the skill or the knowledge you're acquiring. Now let's review lend and borrow. I know this confuses a lot of students. Can you, me, $200 until Friday? Can you lend me? Lend is to give something to someone temporarily. For sentence structure, you can use the model to lend someone something. I lent, that's the past simple. I lent my brother, someone, my car, something. You can also lend something to someone. I lent my car to my brother. Both of those are correct.
Larry lent Barry $5,000.
Borrow is to receive something temporarily.
Can I borrow this?
Now, for sentence structure, you borrow something from someone. I borrowed this car from my sister. Can you borrow me some money is not grammatically correct. Can you lend me some money, or can I borrow some money from you? Are you ready for your challenge? Share your sentence below using both lend and borrow. Do you have one? This was a fun one for me to write. Here's mine. You can borrow my clothes, but there's no way I'm lending you my car. And that's probably true. Let's review remember and remind. Can you, me, to call the client at 3 p.m.? Can you remind me to call the client? Remember, this is when you recall information yourself. I just remembered I need to call the client at 3 p.m. Or I need to remember to call the client at 3 p.m.
I just remembered.
Remind is to make someone else remember something. I reminded him to call the client at 3 p.m., but he still forgot. He didn't remember. Can you remind me when the meeting is? This is the same as saying, can you help me remember this information?
Don't remind me.
Here's a great one. I keep a big bottle of water in front of my computer as a reminder. A reminder is the noun form of the verb. If you want to use the verb, you could say, the bottle reminds me to drink more water. Now it's your turn to share one example using remember and remind. Take your time. Remember, I thought of these before this lesson. Here's mine. I rarely remember my appointments. So can you please remind me to go to the dentist at noon? Now let's review wait and stay. You should at home today if you feel sick. You should stay at home. Stay at home today if you feel sick. Wait means to pause or delay until something happens. For example, wait to buy the computer until Cyber Monday. This is the same as saying don't buy the computer until Cyber Monday. Or you can say, I've been waiting for 20 minutes.
Do you know how long I've been waiting for this moment?
Stay, think of this as to remain in one place, location. Stay in the restaurant, I'll get the car. Or you could say, wait until I get the car. Wait to leave the restaurant.
Wait for me.
Your final challenge. Share one sentence with wait and stay in the comments. Do you have one? Here's mine. I'll wait for the package at the office while you stay with the kids. So stay, remain in one place. Amazing job. You know what's next. Let's learn 21 confusing English adjectives. Envious and jealous. Which one do you need? Sarah was of her coworker's promotion and that she'd be spending more time with their boss than her. The first one you need, Sarah was envious of the promotion and jealous of the coworker spending time with the boss. Now, these are commonly confused because they both relate to negative emotions about what other people have. The coworker has the promotion, has the time with the boss, but they differ in the focus. So envious is wanting something, the promotion, that someone else has. The coworker has the promotion. Jealous is the fear of losing something you already have, often in relationships. Sarah has a relationship with her boss, but she's jealous of her coworker because she fears that as the coworker spends more time with the boss, she'll lose that relationship.
I'm so jealous.
So you can say Anna was envious of her friend's luxurious vacation, something Anna doesn't have. Or you can say he couldn't help but feel envious. Notice you can use the verb feel. You can feel these emotions. Feel envious when he saw his colleague's new laptop. Again, he doesn't have this item. Now, using jealous, she became jealous when she saw her boyfriend talking to his ex. Now, notice you can become jealous, which means to transition from not jealous to jealous. Or you can say, I know it's silly, but I'm jealous, to be jealous. I'm jealous that you have a new friend because I'm afraid that our relationship will suffer. Now, let's do one more quiz. Mark felt of his brother's new car and of all the time he spends repairing it with their father. So this should be easy because you know the first one is envious of something, of the new car, and jealous about a relationship, the time the brother spends repairing it. Now let's review childish and childlike. Here's the quiz. Emma has a sense of wonder, but can act when she doesn't get her way. Well, one of them sounds positive, childlike sense of wonder, and one of them sounds negative, childish when she doesn't get her way. Now these are confused because both relate to behaving like a child, but different in their connotation. Like I said, positive for childlike, it suggests innocence, enthusiasm, wonder, but childish is negative. It suggests other qualities that children have: immaturity, bad behavior. So you can say she approaches speaking in English with a childlike enthusiasm. That's a positive thing to have. Would that describe you as well? If it does, put that's me, put that's me in the comments. Or you can say he looked at the stars with childlike amazement. Throwing a tantrum because the flight is delayed is childish. Or his childish refusal, so this is an adjective, it describes his refusal as childish. His childish refusal to apologize made things worse.
It's childish.
Very childish, Mal, very childish.
Let's try another quiz. The artist's work had a simplicity, but his refusal to accept criticism was rather, well, which one's positive or negative? The first one sounds positive, a childlike simplicity, but the second one sounds negative, so it's childish. The next pair, anxious and eager. Olivia was to start her new job, but felt about making a good first impression. She was eager to start her job, anxious about the impression. Now both describe anticipation, thinking about something, expecting something in the future, but with different connotations, so feelings. Eager is positive, it means excited, enthusiastic. Anxious is of course negative, it means worried, nervous. She was eager, so here our verb to be in the past simple. She was eager to share her good news. Or he feels eager. You can use to feel. He feels eager to begin his new adventure. But he was anxious about the client's feedback. Ooh, that negative feeling. Or she felt anxious before giving her speech. I'm sure you can relate to that. Another quiz. The team was to launch the product, but the investors were about potential risks. The first one sounds positive, so eager. The second one with the risks, that sounds negative, so anxious. Now let's talk about elder and older. My brother bought an house. This is easy, right? My elder brother bought an older house. Now, both relate to age, but they are used differently. Elder is mainly used for people, brother, sister, specifically when comparing family members, and it means born before another.
I am the elder brother.
Now, older is more general. It can describe people, so you can absolutely say my older brother, but it can also describe objects like a house or concepts, philosophical concepts. Now, here's what I want you to know. Native speakers, including me, prefer older when referring to family members. I would not say my elder brother. That does not sound natural to me as a native speaker. It sounds more formal and, to be honest, outdated. but it is grammatically correct. So grammatically, you can say his elder sister always gives him advice, but just know a native speaker will say his older sister always gives him advice. Now, natives do use the word elders in this context. You should respect your elders. In this context, elders represents older people. I instantly think of grandparents or senior citizens. So they're older people with life experience and wisdom, elders. Now, of course, older is more general. So you can say this is the older section of the library. My dog is older than my cat. So let's try the quiz again. She is of the two sisters, but her husband is much than her. So the first one is elder because it compares age within a family, but her husband is much older than her. And again, I would personally say older in both. Now let's talk about effective and efficient. Even native speakers confuse these. The new marketing strategy was very at increasing sales, but it wasn't very because it took too much time and money. Now, the second I see time and money, I know it's efficient, and a result increasing sales, that tells me the first one is effective.
So we can be efficient and effective cogs.
I always considered your father a very effective and efficient man.
Both relate to results, but they focus on different aspects. Effective means something achieves its intended result. Efficient means something achieves a result with minimal waste of time or resources. Now, they are often used together. I'm looking for an efficient and effective way to become fluent. I'm sure you are. You can say this new study method is very effective. It produces the desired result. You can say this study method is very efficient. It doesn't waste time, it doesn't waste money or any other resources. Let's try another quiz. This medicine is at treating headaches, but a more solution would be to find the root cause. Well, the first one talks about achieving a result, so effective, and then the second one is talking about using resources, so efficient. Now let's talk about respectable versus respectful. Here's the quiz. The professor's students are in his class because the students are respectful because he's respectable. So both relate to the concept of respect, but they describe things differently. Respectable describes someone or something worthy of respect. The professor deserves respect.
That's respectable.
Respectful describes someone who shows respect to others. So you can say he became a respectable manager through hard work.
You are very focused. I respect that.
Or you can say becoming fluent in a second language is quite respectable, worthy of respect. Now, respectful is giving. So the students were respectful during the guest lecture. Or you can use this in the imperative. Please be respectful of all the different cultures and customs in this group. Now let's try another quiz. Despite working in a male-dominated industry, her colleagues are always towards her and treat her like a engineer. Well, her colleagues show respect. So they're respectful because she deserves respect because she's a respectable engineer. Let's talk about lonely and alone. Even though he was in the house, he didn't feel because he was busy reading. He was alone in the house. He didn't feel lonely. So they both relate to being by yourself, but again, they have different meanings. Lonely means feeling sad and is due to a lack of social connection. So it sounds negative. Alone just means physically by yourself. It's not positive or negative, it's neutral. You can say he felt lonely. Again, this is an adjective that you feel the emotion. He felt lonely after moving to a new city.
I am lonely!
Even though she has a big family, she sometimes feels lonely. Now you can say, I prefer to study alone. So how do you study? Alone, without anyone else. Or I usually eat lunch alone in the garden, by myself, without anyone. Let's try another quiz. Although she likes spending time, working remotely can get... She likes spending time alone by herself, but working remotely can get lonely. So notice here, to get lonely talks about that transition from not lonely to lonely. Now let's talk about incredible and incredulous. Do you know this adjective? It's an advanced one, incredulous. She had an opportunity to receive a free scholarship abroad, but her parents were, when she told them about it. She had an incredible opportunity, but her parents were incredulous. So both relate to believability, but they differ in meaning. Incredible means amazing or unbelievable in a positive way, but incredulous, it describes someone who is skeptical, doubtful, or disbelieving. So the parents were skeptical about this incredible opportunity. So of course with incredible, you can say the view from the top of the mountain was incredible.
Incredible view.
Or he told an incredible story about his travels. Now with incredulous, she gave him an incredulous look when he claimed he learned English in 1 month. So a skeptical look, like, I don't believe you. Or my boss was incredulous when I said that my dog ate the proposal. So my boss did not believe my excuse. Now let's try a quiz now that you understand what incredulous means. At first, I was of the discount, but it was an deal in the end. So at first, I was skeptical, doubtful. I didn't believe it. I was incredulous, but it was an incredible deal. Let's talk about famous and infamous. Here's the quiz. The director is for his blockbuster films, but his former partner became after a scandal on set. Ooh. The director is famous, but the partner, scandal, that tells you you need infamous. So both relate to being widely known, but again with different connotations. Famous, it sounds positive, or at least a neutral reputation of being well known, but infamous, there's a negative reputation. You're well known for something negative, like a wrongdoing or a scandal. Notice that pronunciation, because it's infamous. The syllable stress is on the in, so it's not infamous. No, that's not how you say it. Infamous, infamous. So let's see these two together, positive and negative. The city is famous for its historic architecture, but infamous for its high crime rate. Or the author became famous after publishing a best-selling novel about an infamous politician.
Infamous, really.
Now, here's your quiz question. Martha Stewart, once celebrated as a homemaker, later became for her involvement in insider trading. Well, if you know that insider trading is a crime, then you know that she became infamous for insider trading, although she has always been a famous homemaker. Now let's talk about complimentary and complimentary. Notice that different spelling. The hotel offered us a meal, and the wine paired with dinner was truly. So the first one, is it spelled with a middle I or a middle E? It's a middle I, a complimentary meal. And the wine paired with dinner was complimentary. Now notice the pronunciation is the same. Spelling is similar but different, and the meanings are different. So let's repeat the pronunciation. Complimentary. Complimentary. Now, complimentary with an I means free of charge, $0, or it can also mean giving praise, giving compliments. But complimentary with the middle E means two things go well together. So if you're at a hotel, you might ask, is this water complimentary? Which means, is this water free? Or you can say she was very complimentary about his proposal. She gave him a lot of praise, a lot of compliments. Now you can say she's more data-driven and he's more creative. Their skills are complementary, so they go well together. Or how about this one? Apple pie and ice cream are highly complementary. They go together. Here's the quiz. I'm not just being. Your skills are truly. Well, your skills, they go well together. So the second one, you want the middle E, complimentary. And I'm not just saying this to be nice, to give you praise. I'm not just complimentary, the middle I. How about this pair? Continual, continuous. Here's the quiz. The baby's crying was exhausting, and the noise from traffic made it even more difficult to sleep. What do you need? Well, this is a trick question because grammatically and logically, both of them would work in both situations. Now, both adjectives refer to repetition, but they differ in frequency. So continual means happening repeatedly, but there's breaks between. So the baby cries for 20 minutes, and then doesn't cry for an hour, cries for an hour, then doesn't cry again. Continuous means the whole time. The baby cried for 3 hours without stopping. So you can say grammatically and logically, the dog's continual or continuous barking annoyed the neighbors. Now, if you say the rain was continual for 3 days, it means some periods of rain, break, other periods, break, so on and off. But if you say the rain was continuous for 3 days, it's another way of saying non-stop. So let's try this quiz question where I designed it so only one choice fits logically. Let's see if you can identify it. The flow of the waterfall made it easy to catch fish, but the changes in the water level made it difficult to predict the best fishing spots. What do you think? Well, to me, a waterfall is generally non-stop. So I think continuous sounds more logical, but it could also be the other one, to be honest. And then the water level, it probably doesn't non-stop go up and down. It goes up for a period of time, and then it changes for a period of time. So I think logically, continual changes makes more sense. But again, it is absolutely possible that it's the reverse. Our final pair, fun versus funny. You may think you know this, but I hear mistakes with this one all the time. The party was so, especially because of Jake's stories. The party was so fun because of Jake's funny stories. Both describe positive experiences, but they focus on different aspects. Fun is, of course, enjoyable. Funny makes you laugh. So if you said to me, Jennifer, the piano concert was so fun, I would say that's great. But if you said, Jennifer, the piano concert was so funny, I'd say, oh really? Why? Why did the piano concert make you laugh? Now, let's try another quiz. Here you go. We had a weekend because we saw a really movie. Easy, right? We had a fun weekend because we saw a funny movie. Now let's keep going and we'll review 21 more confusing English words. First, let's review find and find out. And let's review these as a quiz. I couldn't
The file you sent. Find or find out? I couldn't find the file you sent.
I couldn't find that file you wanted.
To find, of course, is a verb and is to discover or locate something physically. Physically, visually, or through searching. But think of physically. That's your key, to locate something physical. Like, I can't find my phone. It's physical. To find out, adding out makes it a phrasal verb, and the meaning is different. This is to discover information, facts, or truth, often by asking, learning, or investigating. For example, I need to find out how to update my phone. Find out is often used with the WHs, which represent who, what, when, where, why, and how. For example, we need to find out why the client didn't hire us. So we need to learn that information. There's nothing physical. It's information, it's knowledge. But if you say we need to find new clients, the clients are physical people or companies, and we need to locate them. And you often use find plus noun, clients, companies, my phone, because the noun represents something physical. Now you can say, did you find out where the conference is being held this year? Did you learn or discover that information? Did you find a hotel close to the conference? Did you locate something physical? So remember, find, locate something physical, find out, locate, or learn information. Or how about this one? Jennifer, I'm so happy I found your channel. You located my channel. So if that describes you, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now let's do another quiz. I couldn't, the document you sent, but I did, that the meeting was canceled. Well, one is physical and one is more information. I couldn't find the document, that's physical, but I did find out that the meeting was canceled. Now let's review, discuss, and talk. Last night I was with my friends. There's a key word there. I was talking with my friends.
I'm talking to my friends.
Now discuss, this is a verb. It means to talk about something in detail. Talk means to have a conversation. The meaning is basically the same, but grammatically you cannot say I was discussing with my friends. That's grammatically incorrect because discuss is transitive, which means it requires a direct object. I was discussing it with my friends. I was discussing the project with my friends. I was talking with my friends. So talk is intransitive. The direct object is optional. You can include it. I was talking about it with my friends. So notice, when you include the direct object, you need to include about, to talk about something. So you can say, we discussed moving abroad next year. We talked about moving abroad next year. Notice in both of these, it's discuss or talk about plus gerund. But you cannot say we discussed about moving abroad. Now you're ready for your quiz. We can, the details during the meeting, but let's just briefly now. Well, one has a direct object, one doesn't. We can discuss the details because you must discuss something, but you can simply talk. So let's briefly talk now. You don't need a direct object with talk. Let's review success and succeed. With the right mindset, anyone can in a competitive industry. Anyone can succeed.
You can succeed.
Success is a noun. It's the achievement of a goal or desired result. Succeed is a verb. is to achieve a goal or desired result. Now, as a verb, notice succeed, that ends in ed, but that is not the past form. That's the base form. Succeed, the past is succeeded, succeeded. And then the participle is also succeeded. You cannot say, my lessons will set you up to success. That's a common mistake I hear. You have to say, my lessons will set you up for success, because success is a noun and we use for as the preposition, for something, for success. Or you can say, my lessons will set you up to succeed. So you can use the verb succeed, but it's the infinitive, so you need to succeed. Remember, success as a noun, it's a thing, but succeed as the verb is the action. I know you'll succeed. That's the verb. I know you'll achieve success. Now, success is the noun. In the sentence, grammatically, you still need a verb. So a common collocation is achieve. You achieve success. You can use both the noun or the verb to start the sentence, which is very common. Success is the result of practice, repetition, and patience. This is what I always tell my students. Now here, success to start the sentence is a noun. You could change this to the verb and say succeeding is the result of practice, repetition, and patience. So notice the sentence starts with the gerund verb, your verb in ing. Let's try another quiz. If you want to, in this industry, you'll have to define what looks like to you. Well, grammatically, your clue is that to, because it's part of the infinitive, so you know you need a verb to succeed. If you want to succeed, you have to define what something, what success looks like to you. Now let's review vacant and available. Excuse me, is this seat? Hopefully you said available.
Is the seat available?
Vacant is an adjective. It means empty or not occupied, but it's only used for rooms, building, or properties, generally that you rent, either long-term or short-term. So think real estate hotels. For example, the apartment has been vacant since June. This means nobody has been living in the property since June. So a real estate context. Available is also an adjective. It means ready for use, accessible, or free to be used or contacted. Now, you can say the apartment has been vacant since June, but is not available to buy until August. So it's not free, it's not ready to buy until August. The hotel only has one vacant room. We better book it. So it's very commonly used, real estate hotels. Or you can say, I can't believe there are no vacancies anywhere downtown. Do you notice anything different here? I used vacancy, which is the noun. I just used the plural form, vacancies. So this represents a space or a place available for use, and again with hotels or real estate. Outside of real estate, vacant can be used for a job position. For example, that position has been vacant for months. You will hear that, but it's probably more common to say that position has been open or unfilled for months. And just remember, it's to be vacant or available because they're adjectives. So you can ask, are there any vacant rooms this weekend? Are there any available rooms this weekend? So if you use vacant, it sounds more official or technical. If you use available, it sounds more casual and everyday. But you cannot say, I'm vacant at 3 p.m. You must use available. Or the microwave is vacant, because it's not real estate. Or this seat is vacant. Again, not real estate. You must use available to say that something is free. Here's your quiz. The hotel room is still, but I won't be to discuss the details until this afternoon. Well, it's pretty easy, right? Because when you see hotel room, you know it's vacant. I won't be available. Here's a confusing pair, electric and electrical. The company is investing in more vehicles to reduce emissions. Electric vehicles.
It's an all-electric vehicle, no tailpipe.
Remember that EV as an acronym stands for electric vehicle, not electrical, electric vehicles. Tesla is an electric vehicle. Electric is an adjective. It means powered by electricity. Electrical is also an adjective, but it's related to electricity in general. So it's systems, engineering, or parts. So you would ask someone, when are you going to buy an electric vehicle? When are you going to fix your electrical issues? Issues with the systems and electricity in general. I have an electric toothbrush, a toothbrush that runs on electricity. I have an electric toothbrush. We just installed an electric heater. That house has been vacant for years because it has serious electrical issues. So generally when you need to call a technician is for electrical issues. Or you might say, my cousin is an electrical engineer. So it's also the field of study. Here's your quiz. The hotel just installed new outlets in every room and blinds. Well, the blinds run on electricity, so they're electric blinds. You press a button and the blinds open and close. How cool is that? So the first one is electrical outlets, is related to electricity in general, systems, parts. Now let's review realize and achieve. With the right support, you can your personal and professional goals. You can achieve.
The United States encourages you to achieve your goals.
Realize is a verb. It means to become aware of something or to understand it clearly. I just realized I left my wallet at home. Oh no. Achieve is a verb. It's to successfully reach a goal or result. She achieved her dream of becoming an electrical engineer. Now remember, achieve is also that collocation for success. She achieved success as an electric vehicle salesperson. Now this is commonly confused because it's a false friend. In English, realize does not mean achieve, but in other languages, it can mean that. If you believe it, you can achieve it. That's a common expression. Or, why can't you realize how talented you are? So in this sense, it's why can't you understand how talented you are? So use realize when talking about understanding or noticing something, like my wallet isn't in my purse. Here's a common example. Oh no, I didn't realize the deadline was today. Or he suddenly realized he forgot the required documents. So we often use this when something negative may happen. Use achieve when talking about reaching a goal. She worked hard to achieve success in her field. We finally achieved our quarterly targets. Your quiz, I didn't. How close we were to finishing until we finally, our sales goal. Pretty easy because we have goal, so you know it's achieved our sales goal. So that leaves I didn't realize, understand, or notice. Now let's review welcome and you're welcome. How about this? To paradise. Welcome to paradise.
Welcome to paradise.
Welcome is a verb. It's to greet someone in a friendly way. It's also used to say someone is accepted. You're welcome, of course, is a phrase and it's a polite reply to thank you. Thanks for the coffee. You're welcome. Just know Americans don't say thanks for the coffee, welcome. We don't say welcome as a reply to thank you. We say you're welcome. So use welcome as a greeting, not as a reply to thanks. Welcome to our lesson. This is the verb in the imperative. I'd love to welcome all my new students. Here it's the infinitive. Before she began, she welcomed all the new students. So in that case, it's the past simple. Now, what about this? You're welcome to stay as long as you want. This is not a reply to thank you. So here it's to be welcome plus infinitive. And this is used to say you're invited, you're allowed, you're permitted to do something. For example, you're welcome to stay for dinner. We have more than enough. And then the person says, oh, thank you so much for the invitation. And you say, as a reply to thank you, you're welcome. Remember at the beginning, it was welcome to our beautiful resort. So welcome, it's the verb. But then I can add on, please note that guests are welcome, because your verb needs to be conjugated, are welcome to use the pool until 10 p.m. So I'm inviting, permitting, or allowing something. Now here is the quiz with all three. Everyone, let's our new employees to the team, please remember that you to ask questions at any time, and you in advance for the free lunch today. Everyone, let's welcome our new employees. Please remember that you are welcome to ask. Did you get the correct verb? You are welcome to ask. And you are welcome in advance for the free lunch. So it's like saying, I know you're going to say, thank you, Jennifer, for the free lunch. So I'm saying you're welcome. You're welcome in advance. Now let's review sell and sale. Our team is trying to more products online this quarter. Our team is trying to sell. To is your clue because sell is a verb. It's to give something in exchange for money, of course. Sale is a noun. It's the act of selling something. It can also be a special event where things are sold at a discount. As the verb, we sell 50 different products. We sold 50 different products. So that's the past simple of sell, sold. Now, you can say, we made 5 sales today. As a noun, it needs to be singular or plural. And a sale represents a thing, the act of selling. We made 5 sales today. This is like saying, we sold 5 items today.
Have you made any sales today?
So remember, sell is the action, sale is the thing. Every salesperson remembers their first sale. Every salesperson remembers the first time they sold something. Sell is transitive, which means it requires a direct object, which is why I said sold something. They can't just say the first time they sold. The first time they sold something. How about this one? The store is having a sale tomorrow. A sale, this is an event where items are sold at a lower price, a discount. Here's your quiz. All our inventory during the last week. The tells me you need a noun. The sale last week. We, and then verb, right? English grammar, subject, verb. We sold. Let's review tiring and tired. This has been such a week. This has been a tiring week.
This is getting tiring, Max.
Tiring is an adjective. It's causing someone to feel tired. Tired is the adjective. It's the feeling of needing sleep or rest. The meeting was really tiring. I'm so tired after that meeting because it was tiring. I'm too tired to do laundry tonight. I'll do it tomorrow. Doing chores is tiring. So you cannot say, I'm really tiring. You would say, I'm really tired because this project or this thing is tiring. Tired is the emotion you feel, and tiring is the activity or thing that causes the emotion. Now, you can use this with people and say, dealing with my new manager is so tiring. Or you can be direct and say, Sally is so tiring. Just know this is an insult to Sally, because it's like saying, Sally, dealing with you is so difficult, I become tired after. Here's your quiz. I'm way to make dinner tonight. That 3-hour workshop was so... Well, you need to attach tired to the person. I'm way too tired. The workshop, something was so tiring. It's the reason why I'm tired. Now let's review easy and simple. I saved the easy one for last, maybe, maybe not. The app is really to use. Which one? Well, both.
That was easy.
That's a trick, because grammatically and logically, you could say the app is easy to use, the app is simple to use, but the meaning is not exactly the same. There is a distinct meaning. Easy as an adjective means not difficult to do or accomplish. Simple as an adjective means not complicated. So you can think of it as basic or clear. Easy focuses on the level of effort or difficulty involved. Simple focuses on the complexity or the number of parts, the number of steps in the instructions. So you might say, the solution is simple. Just restart the system. There's only one instruction. Simple, not complex. Or can you explain this complex legal document in simple language? Simple language. In this context, only simple can be used. Don't say easy language, simple language. But you can say, you make juggling look so easy, so it doesn't take a lot of effort to do it. Now here's where native speakers use them together, and sometimes students get confused. We often say something like, losing weight is simple, but it's not easy. So something is simple, but not easy. So simple represents simplicity. So to lose weight, well, what? It's not complex, it's not complicated. Eat less, exercise more. Pretty simple, right? But is it easy? So you can talk about the lack of ease. Ease is the noun form. Well, it's not easy perhaps because you have to deal with cravings, hormones, time, energy, cost, culture, environment, which makes those two simple steps, eat less, exercise more, not easy. Now let's review your quiz. The instructions are to follow, but the task itself isn't at all. Well, instructions are simple. They're not complex. There's only 3 steps, but the task isn't easy. It requires a lot of effort. There's difficulty. Think of everything you've learned. Now let's review our final group of 21 confusing English words. Let's start with grow and grow up. I hear a lot of mistakes with this one. Here's a quiz. Which one do you need? My company quickly over the past 5 years. My company, that's your keyword, quickly grew.
We're growing.
So of course the verb is to grow, in this case conjugated in the past simple, and this means to increase in size, amount, quantity, strength, or importance. So just think increase. Now grow up is a phrasal verb. This is used to mean to develop from a child to an adult. It can also be used to mean to mature emotionally or mentally. So you cannot say my business grew up to represent your business growing or maturing. You need to say my business grew, or you could use the word mature. My business matured. Remember, only use grow up with people or even animals. For example, wow, Lily is growing up so fast. So Lily is maturing from a child to an adult. You could also say, wow, Lily is growing so fast. This means Lily is getting taller. So you can say, wow, my tomato plants are growing so fast, getting taller, getting stronger. Or you can say, wow, my English vocabulary is growing so fast, increasing in size. And hopefully my videos are helping you do that. So put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now, a very common question, one you must know and hopefully already do, where did you grow up? Where did you grow up? Where did you mature? So transition from a child to adult. I grew up in Winnipeg. I grew up in Canada. What about you? So now you know the difference. Here's your quiz question that uses both. As he in a small village, nobody expected his small business to into a Fortune 500 company. Well, business is your keyword that you need grow, not grow up, because we only use grow up with people. So as he grew up in a small business, nobody expected his business would grow. Now let's talk about shade and shadow. Do these confuse you? It was a hot day, so we sat in the cool under the tree. Which one do you need? We sat in the cool shade.
Shade's getting scarce in these parts.
Shade is a noun. It's an area where direct sunlight is blocked, providing cooler temperature. Shadow is also a noun, but it's a dark shape cast when something blocks light. So you cannot say, let's sit in the shadow. That doesn't sound natural. You say, let's sit in the shade. And notice it's the shade, not a shade, the shade. But you could say we found a shaded area for our picnic. In this case, shaded is the adjective that describes area. How about this one? When I was growing up, I loved making shadow puppets with my friends. Did you ever do that? Or you could say, my dog is scared of her own shadow. Now let's review this sentence. My tomato plant isn't growing well because I planted it in the shade, an area where direct sunlight is blocked. Here's your quiz. She sat in and watched the trees cast on the fence. She sat in the shade. Did you get the? It's very important. The shade, and watched the trees cast shadows. So you can use the plural like I did, or you could say a shadow, but it sounds more natural to use the general shadows on the fence. Now let's talk about assist and attend. Here's the question. The conference last week to learn more about the new technology. I attended the conference.
I attended good schools.
This may be confusing for you depending on your native language because assist is a false friend in some languages. I hear this mistake a lot with my French, Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese students. Maybe in your native language, it's also a false friend. So the verb to assist, this means to help or support someone actively, often by doing something to aid them, to help them. I assisted the organizers at the conference. So you can assist someone just like you can help someone. But you wouldn't say, I assisted the conference. I helped the conference directly. You assist someone, not something. But you can use an additional preposition and say, I assisted with the conference. But that means you helped. You helped with the conference. So you could add, I assisted with some administrative tasks to identify what you helped with, what you offered your assistance with some administrative tasks at the conference. Now, attend, this is a verb to attend, and that means to be present at an event, meeting, class, or function. Are you attending the presentation next week? Are you going to? They attended the training session last Friday. They went to the training session. Here's your quiz question. I, the workshop yesterday, and ended up the presenter by fixing the printer. Well, you assist someone and you attend something. So from that, I know I attended the workshop and ended up assisting the presenter. Now let's review floor and ground. Please wipe your feet before walking on the floor.
Take it floor by floor.
Floor is a noun. It's the inside surface. That's the key. The inside surface of a room, and you walk on it. Now, ground is also a noun, but it's the outdoor earth surface. So think mud, dirt, grass, plants. That's the ground. Now, you absolutely can say she dropped her keys on the ground, or she dropped her keys on the floor. You can tell your kids, pick your toys up off the ground or off the floor. But there's a difference because floor is inside and ground is outside. So you can say the office floor was recently cleaned, or the floor in the office was recently cleaned. I planted my tomato plant into the ground, of course. So here's your quiz. The is soaking wet from the rain, and now I have shoe marks all over. Well, the ground is soaking wet because it rains outside, and you care about the shoe marks inside, so all over my floor. Oh, this is a confusing pair, and you may be learning these words for the first time, so you can learn them correctly. Yard and lawn. They spent the afternoon raking the lawn.
Raking the leaves and trimming the lawn isn't going to help.
Yard, this is a noun. It's an outdoor area around a building, such as a home. And it can be paved, so think cement or rocks or gravel, or it can be grassy, so think grass, plants. Now, a lawn, this is also a noun, but it's a grassy, well-maintained area. So when you think lawn, just think grass. That's the important thing, lawn, grass. So you can say, wow, you have a beautiful yard. But remember, this is a larger space. So it includes everything. It includes the lawn, fence, Plants, fountain, patio table, stones, steps, anything you have in this space. You can also say, wow, you have a beautiful lawn. Remember, that's grass. So you might say, it's so lush and green because you're describing the grass. So you can say the kids are playing in the yard because we use the preposition in for an enclosed space. Or the kids are playing on the lawn because the lawn is considered a vertical surface, so we use the preposition on. Now let's review this sentence. I love sitting on the lawn, on the grass, in my backyard. So you can use backyard or front yard. So backyard is the enclosed space behind your house, and front yard is the enclosed space in front of your house. Are you ready for your quiz? Her husband mowed the, while she watered the flowers in the. Well, in the is a good keyword because we use in with yard, and you mow the grass. And remember, lawn, grass. He mowed the grass. He mowed the lawn. Another confusing pair, sympathy and empathy. Native speakers also are confused by these. I felt great for my colleague when she lost her pet. I felt great. Sympathy.
My heartfelt sympathy.
Sympathy is a noun. It's feeling pity or sorrow for someone's misfortune. So we often express sympathy by saying the words, I'm so sorry. And then you can continue on. I'm so sorry for your loss. That's sympathy. Empathy, also a noun, it's the ability to understand and share others' feelings. So you may express empathy, show empathy by saying, I understand the pain you're feeling right now. So you can say, I sent a card to express sympathy because in that card, there are some words. Sympathy is generally words. In fact, that's the name of a category of cards. So you might ask, where are the sympathy cards? The cards written to express sympathy. Empathy is often talked about in the business world because it's considered that good managers need empathy to support their team. So someone might say, he has great empathy for clients under stress. Now here's the quiz. I appreciated flowers you sent, but what I really needed was someone to talk to. I appreciated the sympathy flowers. So the flowers are there to express your sorrow or your pity. But the person needed your empathy. They needed your understanding. Now let's talk about fire and lay off. Here's the question. Due to poor performance, he was last week. Poor performance is the key word. He was fired. You're fired. So the active verb to fire, this is to dismiss someone due to poor performance or misconduct, like stealing. Lay off, this is a phrasal verb in the active form. This is to dismiss someone, but the reason is different. It's for economic reasons, like I don't have the money to pay you. It's not fault. It's not because your work is bad. It's because I can't pay you, so I need to lay you off. Now, this is important because if you say I was fired or I was laid off, it is a very different meaning. And there are important legal and future consequences or considerations depending on what happened. So you can say she was fired for missing deadlines. Notice this is the passive form. She's receiving the action. You can also say the company fired her for missing deadlines. This is the active form. The company is doing the action. Or hundreds of restaurant workers were laid off during COVID. There was no work for them, economic reasons. So this is the passive form, or the company laid off hundreds of restaurant workers during COVID. That's the active form. Now, what about this? We're doing everything we can to avoid layoffs. Layoffs is a noun here, so it also exists as a noun form. Or you can say we're doing everything we can to avoid laying off people. This is the active verb conjugated in the gerund because avoid is a gerund verb. Are you ready for your quiz? Jane was when the project ended, and her husband was the same week for violating company policy. Jane was laid off. The project ended. There's no more work for Jane. Economic reasons. The husband violated policy. He was fired. Now let's review amount and number. The of rain this month has been unusually high. The amount of rain. Hopefully you knew that.
Just the right amount.
Amount is a noun. It's a quantity of something uncountable. Number is a noun. It's a quantity of something countable. That's the difference. So you could have something countable and say, I can't believe the number, you can count, the number of puddles, 1, 2, 3, 4 puddles there are from the amount, the quantity of something uncountable, the amount of rain last week. The amount of data is growing. Now you can think of something countable and say the number of bugs is growing. Notice bugs is plural, but the verb is conjugated with the number, which is singular. The number of bugs is growing. They reduced the amount of sugar, uncountable, in the recipe. I need to reduce the number of carbs I eat. Here's your quiz question. We have of tasks to complete for the conference, and there's still a substantial of work left on the project. Well, you need to think countable, uncountable. Tasks is countable, a number of tasks, and work is uncountable, so a substantial amount of work. Now let's talk about trip and journey. I'm excited to be part of your English learning journey.
Fool's journey is the only journey.
Trip is a noun, is a physical travel somewhere for social or business purposes, usually for a short period of time. Journey is also a noun. It's a longer travel or process, like your English learning journey. That's a process, and is often used metaphorically to suggest adventure, challenge, movement, progress, or development. That's why learning English is a real journey. This is used metaphorically to say it's a long process with lots of challenges and adventure and other things along the way. Or you can say we're going on a journey around the world. So this is going to be a long trip with adventure, challenges, and a lot along the way. If you say we're going on a trip, maybe to Africa, well, someone might ask, oh, for business or pleasure, because the word can be used for both. So you can specify we're going on a business trip to New York City, or we're going on vacation to New York City, because vacation is a trip for pleasure only. Here's your quiz. We only planned a 2-week to Greece, but it turned into a 2-week trip, a short travel, but it turned into a real journey, a longer trip with a lot of developments, adventure, challenges, a real journey. Now let's talk about 3 together. I'm not going to say them out loud because there are some pronunciation differences I want you to identify without me saying them. So here's the quiz question. I go on YouTube every Tuesday. What do you need? Well, of course, the spelling is the same for two, but the pronunciation is not. I go live. I go live on YouTube every Tuesday. Make sure you attend my next live.
We're getting some live footage now.
Now, live, notice that pronunciation. Live is a verb. Of course, this means having life or having a home somewhere. He lived, past simple, for 10 years after the accident. So he remained alive. Or, to talk about your home, I live in Canada, of course. Now, what about live? Notice that pronunciation, live, I've. This is an adjective. It also means having life, or in my context of YouTube, is when a broadcast is seen in real time. So this lesson right now isn't live. I recorded it last week. Or I can say performing live still makes me nervous. Now life is a noun, and it means being alive or the period between birth and death. You have an amazing life. His life was long. But what about this one? Their lives were long. So lives, this is the irregular plural noun of life. And notice that pronunciation, lives, their lives were long. But of course, she lives in Canada. Lives is the third person singular of the verb to live. So notice those pronunciation differences. Now your quiz. Make sure you say it out loud so you're pronouncing it correctly. I, in Boston, but I'm performing in Chicago this month, and I'm having the time of my... Did you say it out loud? I live in Boston, I'm performing live, and I'm having the time of my life. Now you can use these 21 words correctly. Do you want me to keep helping you improve your vocabulary? If you do, put let's go, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.